Did you know that with just a few clicks, your neighbor, your employer, or even a curious first date could potentially pull up your entire legal history? It's completely true. Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into exactly how to look up court cases in Yolo County, California. Whether you're conducting serious legal research, running a quick background check, or you're just personally interested in how our justice system tracks data, knowing how to navigate these records is an incredibly practical real-world skill. So we're going to give you the comprehensive, evergreen guide on how to do exactly that.
It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? With government records becoming increasingly digitized, just how much of your life is a quick search away? You know, for decades, if you wanted to see a court file, you literally had to drive to a courthouse, stand in a long line, and ask a clerk to pull a dusty paper folder from the back. But today, rapid digitization has completely transformed that landscape. As we'll see, the convenience of the internet brings incredible transparency, but it also opens up a fascinating and honestly sometimes alarming debate about personal privacy.
To get you fully up to speed, we're going to cover the Yolo County court system, accessing records online, in-person resources, interpreting court information, challenges and solutions, and finally a real-world case study on privacy and access.
All right, let's kick things off with Part 1, Understanding the Yolo County Court System Landscape.
When we talk about the Superior Court, we're actually looking at a pretty massive umbrella. They handle a huge array of case types. We're talking about everything from civil disputes and small claims to criminal prosecutions, family law, like divorces and child support, plus juvenile issues, probate, and even traffic tickets. All of these different divisions are centrally managed at the primary courthouse in Woodland. So if your inquiry falls into any of these buckets, the Superior Court is exactly where you need to look.
But here is a massive point of confusion that trips up a lot of first-time researchers. There is a strict boundary between the judicial branch, which is the Superior Court on Main Street, and the county executive branch, the clerk recorder over on Court Street. If you're looking for a property deed, a marriage license, or a fictitious business name, you want the clerk recorder. But for lawsuits, divorces, and criminal charges, you need the Superior Court. They maintain completely separate databases, so make sure you're barking up the right tree.
Moving right along to Part 2, Accessing Records Online Through the Digital Gateways.
Here's the best part. You can do a lot of this right from your couch. Yolo County uses a cloud infrastructure hosted by Tyler Technologies. Anyone can just navigate to their public portal and run a basic index search without even making an account. The fastest way is to punch in a specific case number. But if you don't have that, no worries, a party name works too. The system is actually pretty forgiving. It allows for phonetic searches to catch common typos. Once you hit search, you'll see basic metadata, scheduled hearings, and the register of actions, which is basically the historical timeline of the case.
Now there is a slight catch. Yolo County uses a few specialized platforms depending on exactly what you're hunting for. That Tyler Tech portal, that's your go-to for general court cases. But say you need to track an active bank levy or pending eviction, for that you'd actually use the Sheriff's Civil Status portal. There's also the Research CA portal for cross-county searches and a press review tool for verified media to look at civil e-filings before they're even officially accepted. Knowing which specific tool to use right out of the gate is going to save you hours of frustration.
Now, what if you need to go old school? That brings us to Part 3, In-Person Resources and Navigating the Actual Courthouse.
If you're heading in person, you're making your way to 1000 Main Street in Woodland. The clerk's windows are open Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. And here is a great practical tip for you. Do not stress about street parking. The court actually provides free public and ADA-compliant parking lots right nearby on 6th Street. Once you're inside, just step up to the civil filing counter and make your request. Or, if you'd rather skip the trip entirely, you can totally just mail a detailed letter to the court requesting the documents you need.
Just keep in mind, paper isn't free. Be prepared for state-mandated fees. If you go in person, it's 50 cents per page for copies. If you need a document legally certified, that's a flat $40 surcharge per packet. And if you use that mail-in option we just talked about, the court hits you with a $15 manual research fee just to find the record, plus the copy fees. Since you won't know the exact page count when you mail a request, here's a pro tip. Write a check and simply put not to exceed with a maximum dollar amount in the memo line. The clerk will figure out the exact math and only charge you for what it actually costs.
Okay, moving into Part 4, Interpreting Court Information. Let's decode some of that legal jargon.
When you first look at a case index, it can look like a foreign language, but understanding just a few foundational concepts is absolutely crucial. A civil complaint is the spark that started the fire. It's the very first document filed that kicks off a lawsuit. A cross complaint, on the other hand, means someone is fighting back.
It's a countersuit where the defendant is basically saying, "No, you wronged me," or they drag a totally new third party into the mess. Knowing this instantly tells you who threw the first punch and how the fight is evolving. You're also going to see the acronym TRC pop up constantly in the Register of Actions. That stands for Trial Readiness Conference. If you see a TRC scheduled, it simply means the judge has mandated a meeting to look everybody in the eye and ask, are we actually ready to present this case to a jury? It's the court's way of preventing last-minute delays right before the finish line.
Let's pivot to Part 5, Challenges and Solutions. Because trust me, you will hit roadblocks.
The absolute most common issue people face is a search coming up completely empty. If this happens, don't panic. First, check your spelling. Are you searching for an alias or a nickname? The system only works if you match the official legal filing. Second, remember that not everything is public. Cases dealing with juvenile dependency, child abuse, and highly sensitive family matters are legally sealed by default. Unless you are a verified party to that specific case, there is no way you're going to see it on the public portal.
Then there's the infamous paywall. Now, viewing the basic index as a guest is free, but maintaining a massive digital infrastructure costs money. So if you want to click on a final judgment and actually download the PDF to your desktop, you usually have to upgrade to a subscriber. That means handing over an email, a credit card, and paying per-page fees that generally run about 50 cents to $1 per page. Which leads us perfectly into Part 6, our case study, the price of digital access and privacy. Let's look at a fascinating real-world example from a neighboring area, John Doe v. Sonoma Superior Court. This was a major class action lawsuit mounted against the county's new web-based case management system. Just like Yolo, Sonoma moved decades of paper files onto the internet in the name of transparency. But this lawsuit really highlights the unintended consequences of moving too fast. The plaintiff alleged the court was basically blasting highly sensitive personal identification information, along with expunged criminal records, out to the entire internet.
One of the biggest red flags in this case was the public display of birth dates. The California rules of court explicitly state that a party's date of birth must be excluded from these remote electronic indexes. And it makes total sense, right? As privacy advocates warn, if you publicly display someone's full legal name right next to their exact date of birth on a free web portal, you are handing a goldmine to identity thieves looking to commit financial fraud. It gets even more complicated with older criminal records. California passed a law requiring the permanent destruction of records for minor marijuana offenses once they hit 2 years old, aiming to eliminate the social stigma around them. But the Sonoma lawsuit pointed out that these brand new digital platforms were failing to automatically delete those records. So, a minor offense from 20 years ago that the state legally mandated to be erased was suddenly visible to any curious employer or neighbor with a Wi-Fi connection.
The big takeaway here is profound. Online court access is an unbelievable tool for research and public transparency, but rapid digitalization is frequently outpacing data sanitization. When courts dump massive legacy databases onto the cloud, it's a tightrope walk. We all want open, transparent courts, but we absolutely have to demand rigorous oversight to protect our sensitive data from identity fraud and to honor the legal right for certain past offenses to actually be forgotten.
Before we wrap up this explainer, I do need to give a quick but important disclaimer. This content is provided purely for informational and educational purposes. Navigating court records can have very serious real-world implications, and nothing here constitutes legal advice. You should always consult a qualified attorney for specific legal concerns about your own records.
Thank you so much for joining me for this deep dive into looking up court cases in Yolo County. I hope you now feel totally equipped to navigate both the digital portals and the physical courthouse. But I'm going to leave you with this question to ponder. As the convenience of online access grows and every single aspect of our legal lives becomes digitized, are we inadvertently trading away our right to be forgotten? It's something to think about the next time you're searching one of these massive public databases. Until next time, keep learning and stay curious.